learned just how much I say fuck in everyday conversation from this podcast.
For sure.
It is a lot.
I remember I was gonna try to do like student radio DJing when I was at CSU, and I went in to get trained, and within and they were like, you cannot fucking curse on this shit, and I was like, all right, and like literally said fuck like 2 minutes into fucking and they all like gave me this look, and I was like, I can't do this.
I'm not cut out for this.
Did I just give you guys like $100,000 fine or something? Probably did, sorry. My bad. Hope I didn't bankrupt y'all.
I thought there was a loop and you were gonna beep it.
This is edited, right? This fucking bullshit's edited.
That sounds about right. Hell yeah. I love it.
I was like, yeah, that sounds like fun. Just like
we
couldn't do it.
Yeah, we I think in Hobbstown, because Casey was a DJ, and so she had us on there at least once, if not twice, but also was like, you guys have to. And so and I think because we were so worried about it, we were just like, our interviews were terrible because we were just like, and speaking so slowly, just to make sure
every single word's gotta
shit.
Yeah.
That's funny.
No fucking filters here, man.
Oh, yeah.
It is funny because you have to flag it as explicit on iTunes and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Makes sense.
For adults only.
Yep, this is fucking explicit content. Put a fucking sticker on it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But we only say that so that all the babies out there who are listening will know how cool they are.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, so 13-year-olds feel like they're getting into some shit that's fucking... I don't know. Yeah, I guess, as we were talking earlier, it doesn't even matter anymore for, kids nowadays, you know?
Mm-hmm.
When you're 13, you, seen someone fuck a horse online. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Seriously.
Yeah, man.
Getting an album with an explicit content sticker is not fucking the cool thing it used to be.
Right.
Parental advisory.
That was a badge of honor back in the day.
Hell yeah. All right,
that shit from my mom.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm just going to start us off. So, hey, everyone. Welcome to Coming Down. My name is Nathan. I'm here with Matthew.
Hey, everybody.
And we got a double guest episode. We're here with Will and Cheyenne.
Hello.
Hey, also known as Atomic Folk Art. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're just going to, talk to you guys about, the cool shit you do. So y'all are out here doing these traveling oddities shows. And, you just had your Portland one a couple days ago, and then you're going up to Seattle. And that's what, Halloween weekend? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Nice.
Well, I'll put this out, tomorrow probably, and so people can listen to it. So all our Seattle folk and even further north folk, definitely go check it out. Yeah, just tell us all a little rundown. What do you do? What is it?
What is it? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Essentially, we primarily focus in preservation of insects and other specimens, and lots of other art too, but mostly, specimen art. It's very inspired by Victorian and Baroque sort of styles. Lots of repurposing of antiques and whatnot for our displays.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can confirm it's very cool and elegant looking, but it's a heart or some bugs and stuff.
Now the display box that you guys made for these for the midnights with the beetle inside is gorgeous.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome. So do you primarily do just this particular oddity fair, or do you go to other shit, other events?
We used to do other events, but this Oddities Expo, it's called the Oddities and Curiosities Expo, and it has treated us so well that we now primarily do that. Exclusively, really.
Nice.
Base our entire business and our entire year around this show and travel with the show around the country.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
How many shows do they do a year?
They're up to,
Something.
pushing 30, honestly,
Damn.
a year.
Yeah, a lot.
And we certainly can't do that many. Because we make every product, every piece of art we sell is handmade. A lot of the visual artists who are able to print and whatnot, they can do all of them, but...
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but you're doing full on, fully crafted things.
Mm-hmm.
So how many a year do you do?
Well,
11 this year.
yeah, we usually average around 10. Just lately they've just been, I mean, we signed up for 14 this year and we had to back out of 3 because we just couldn't keep up.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been really
It's a good problem to
this
have.
year.
It's a good problem to have, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they've been attracting a ton of people, even with COVID restrictions still in place, and yeah, they've been...
And you had to take, like, all of last year off, though, huh?
We did, yes.
They didn't do
At
any
least
of them?
most of it. We got through San Diego in January and Albuquerque in March, and then
everything
and then
locked
it
down.
hit.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go to San Francisco, which would have been a fun one. But
Yeah.
everything got, fucking exploded at that point. So
Right.
everything got all shut down, and that was pretty much the year as far as shows.
Yeah. Yikes.
So how long have you guys been doing this?
Well, about 6-ish years.
Yeah, I
now,
guess, like,
but-
actually, like, take us back to the beginning. Like, what started it all? Like, what inspired you to, like, get into this? Because, okay, also, like, I should take us even a little further back. So Will and I used to live together in Colorado, and we were in a band called Sex Club. And actually, I told a story on this podcast about the night we won Best Band Name.
Oh, yeah, dude, fuck yeah.
And sprayed lotion on a car, and we might have
Allegedly.
might have crashed my bike and lost an iPod in a yard. And a cop came and anyway, that's an old episode. You can look it up. But,
I'm looking for my iPod.
yeah, but
Jesus.
but I've known Will for a bit over 10 years, but then I moved out here, and then we've kept in touch a bit, but like. Now you're just doing this full time, which is like far sight from working at Noodles and Company and shit when I knew you. So, or I guess you were like washing beakers for the CSU lab and shit.
I was washing beakers, cleaning out all the grime of chemistry labs and God knows what. Yeah,
yeah.
But
yeah, when did so like 6 years ago you started doing this? But like what inspired you to do it?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've both had our fair share of shit jobs, that's for sure. And, we both went to school in Fort Collins in Colorado, and, didn't end up doing anything with our degrees, like a lot of people.
Like, tale as old as time.
Yeah, and... I mean, essentially what happened is I started doing some kind of folk art, sci-fi type stuff with my dad, actually. And
cool.
That's why the business is named what it is, which is really kind of awkward at this point because it's not super applicable anymore to
You're not very atomic.
No.
Yeah.
No, but we used to be. We started out, I did a lot of, like, sci-fi themed collage work, and my dad was making all sorts of sci-fi toys and props and like ray guns and stuff out of trash.
Whoa,
sweet.
That's really how it started.
And did he do that for a living or just for kicks?
No, just for kicks. Like, we just kind of started doing that when I was in college. And then I met Will, and like, I don't know. It's the weirdest thing because I don't... It's one of those things where it's like, I don't even know how we got here. It just, like, happened to us.
Snowball.
But we moved down to Denver, and then, I kept making more stuff. A lot of the specimen preservation came from my own interest in decorating my own home, honestly.
Cool.
I had been collecting antique frames and just really ornate, gaudy, Baroque stuff for forever. I've always been interested in that.
Yeah, the time you apparently don't remember me coming to visit you, but the time I did come and visit you and crash at your place for a night, it was cool. Your house was just like this cool, like, macabre museum. Like, it was awesome.
Even more so now.
I can only imagine.
So, I mean, at some point I was like, you know what? Like, I am obsessed with all of these old frames and these old, things. What could I do to repurpose them? And I got super into messing around with preserving insects. I've always been obsessed with insects. I had like giant millipedes as pets growing up,
cool.
and would do weird shit as a kid. Like, my mom always talks about me collecting roly-polies and then, like, painting each one in a different color with, like, a drop of nail polish so that I could name them all different things. Like a freaking psycho. So it's a long time running, but... so anyway, I don't know. Interest in bugs.
Yeah.
And Will was just kind of, you know...
Just down the clown.
Existed in proximity to many things in my time.
He thought it was cool. It, like, for a while...
Yeah, I've done, like, some visual art, like, collage, and, I mean, I was definitely more of a musician for a while, and...
Yeah, you've always been an artist as long as I've known you, though, Will. Like,
he's the one who got me into the collage thing, and that's really how the business started. But for some reason, I picked up the specimen thing, and my dad and I were at our first show ever. It was a punk rock expo in Denver, and I had just a couple specimen things, and I was the only one there with anything like that, and they all sold, like, immediately, and we're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Wait,
like,
so it was a punk rock expo, so it was like
those were the
a bunch of, like,
beginnings.
leather jackets and patches and shit.
Yeah,
lots
basically.
Of crust,
Okay.
Lots of...
But
Lots of crust. Yeah.
That's excellent, yeah.
You know, live music and just a lot of... Even record vendors and things like that. But it's actually the couple that did that show, the Punk Rock Flea Market is what it was called. They now do the Oddities and Curiosities Expo. They run it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so they
So you kind of came up together with the people who were running this expo.
Yes, we've very much grown with the people who do the shows. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense, because you guys always get the best booth. You get the best placement.
We do. And she tries to assure me that has nothing to do with us being friends. She's like, I'd put you in the front even if we weren't friends, but still.
Oh, hell yeah. Nice. Okay. Yeah.
That's
I mean,
cool.
you do deserve it, honestly. Like, you know, we've gone well, I guess not last year, but we came out and saw the expo a couple years ago when you were here, and then we just went a couple days ago, and I mean, shout out to everyone there. Like, everyone does incredible stuff, but y'all have some of the sickest shit there.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so you deserve that. You deserve to be right front and center there.
We try.
So
Snakes, they're so cool.
yeah, the snakes are really cool. Yeah, just like
some pit vipers.
yeah. How do you do those? Because so for the listener at home, non-visual medium, it's just the bone structure.
Yeah, just bones.
Just like the skeleton. So how do you, like, extract a whole snake skeleton out? Like,
The snakes actually, like, are one of the things we sort of outsource the preservation. There's a guy who does them for us, but essentially how it's done is beetle cleaning. If anyone out there is familiar with bones being cleaned by beetles, you essentially skin the animal, and you can do this with any animal, and get as much meat off of it as you can, and then you put it in a tank with flesh-eating beetles, and they eat it down to the bones. And then from that point, you don't have much else to do, just some degreasing and whatnot.
Wait, can you rent the beetles? Or could you have your own
say,
beetle colony if you wanted? Or, like...
Never cross someone who has a beetle farm.
If we had a better setup, we could totally... We don't really, like, specialize in bones. The reason I get those snakes from this guy is because they look fabulous in all of our antique framing and stuff. So that's kind of a combined effort there.
yeah.
We don't do a lot of bones, but a lot of the other vendors who do the show that do bones have their own beetle colonies and process all of their own.
If you want some beetles, we'll get you some beetles. Yeah, with nail polish.
With nail polish. Wait, apparently I'm going to need some roly-polies and nail polish. Oh, man. Yeah, that's so cool. So tell me then, so you were doing, like, these insects and stuff, but then, like, what was the moment when you were like, I guess I'm going to take this stuff to a show and, like, sell? Like, were you selling online at all? Or doing anything like that? Or, like, even selling locally to, like, just people you knew? Or, like...
You know, it's so weird. Yeah, I guess we just happened to do that punk rock show on a whim, and it was...
You just had, like, a little bit of inventory, and you're like, I guess we could just go set up a table. And,
I had a bunch of collages. My dad had ray guns, and then I had like.
Oh, so it was a mishmash. So you had the sci-fi stuff plus the insects.
Yeah, it was totally random. It still is random.
Yeah.
And it was just successful, and we were like, wait, what? What's going on? From that point on, we continued to do the punk rock shows. They were twice a year, but then we kind of got into doing some steampunk shows and stuff for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ray
Yeah.
guns, I bet you that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, and even our aesthetic for our specimens,
Oh yeah,
it's a Victorian aesthetic, and it goes. We were kind of a cool vendor for the Colorado Steampunk Fair because it fit the aesthetic, but it was totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know?
not just gears on everything.
Yeah, totally.
See, what people don't understand about the gear wars,
Yes.
it's never about the gears.
For real.
But I guess at that point, it was still just for fun.
Yeah, we're both working side jobs still, and never really got full time until.
We never thought about this being an actual full-time job until they started the Oddities Expo. And they did the first year of that in Denver in 2017. And we just, it was insane. Will was running over to the liquor store next door to get bags and shit. We ran out of everything. It was unreal. It was a complete chaotic disaster in a good way.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, the gal who runs it, she was doing just the punk rock fairs in Denver and then in Tulsa, her hometown. And after that show, that's when she was like, I think that we could take this Oddities Expo to other cities.
Sounds like it. Hell yeah.
And that's when we were like, maybe we should do that.
Wow, how cool.
I don't know, it just kept growing and kept getting more profitable, and then
more of a timing thing where
well, yeah, it sounds like
was there at the same time as they were thinking about
being able to come up with these organizers and promoters is way cool. So then you could always just be there and so the first year, so 2017, they just did just a couple shows like the Denver and
did Denver and Kansas City.
That's kind of incredible considering you had to take a year off for COVID. So the thing's only been running for 4 years-ish. And they're doing 30 cities now.
And it's huge.
Yeah, they're doing the Performance Center in Chicago, and they're doing the Convention Center in Seattle. They're doing the big.
That's so
big
cool.
guys,
Right, they're getting proper
heavy
venues
hitters.
too. This isn't just tucked away at some DoubleTree hotel and fucking wherever, you're in the main hall of the convention center.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, it hit hard quick. And that's why I kind of joke that I'm just like, I don't even know how we got into this. Things just kept happening.
But that's so cool, right? That's that's just one of those wild things of life, right? You just sort of get into a thing and everything just works out organically, and now you're just rock stars of this circuit.
Never in my life did I think, oh yeah, I'm going to travel around with this Oddities Expo like some carny or something. That is not what I envisioned my future to be, but I'm stoked about it.
Yeah, I know.
Tiny hands, smells like cabbage.
Yeah, talking to Will is just because I didn't even know Will was doing it full time now, and I guess you have been for a bit. Just wow, this is real deal. It's not just a side gig, some a side hustle or whatever. This is your full time shit.
Yeah, kudos. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, that's so inspiring. I think for other artists out there and stuff to know that there's a way you can find a way in.
Yeah.
Well, and what's cool about the Oddities Expo too is most of the vendors are full time, not only with their art but primarily with the expo.
So that's really cool to know that there's a want for it, that there's enough of a crowd that wants this macabre gothy stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I would venture to say that that's only going to increase. Most of the marketable goods that we see these days are all manufactured in China and mass produced. So things that are handmade and unique are going to become more and more valuable as that trend continues.
Well, and we have seen that over the years with just Kickstarters and just people being more willing to
on
support
Etsy
their
and all that shit, yeah.
local artists, so it's really cool to see that it's working in a way too that it's like a traveling show and everything. That I don't know, that just fascinates me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's big kudos to Michelle and Tony who do it as well, because I think the interest had been there for quite a while as far as this kind of macabre, dark kind of horror genre, I guess. But
yeah,
it was never really brought under the same kind of umbrella or blanket as like the actual show is, because a lot of people that we vend with had done like horror con shows or like art shows, but they'd be kind of like a fringe artist in those shows where it'd be like they're the weird ones who sell the creepy shit at like the Cherry Creek Art Festival and
right.
And we've been at some shows like that.
Yeah, we're getting the side eye.
We've been at some shows where everyone around us is either selling candles or
live, laugh, love, fucking
and the looks and the not even making our booth feedback because these people are like, what the fuck is that? Like,
wow.
Yeah. So you found your home. Your niche.
So they've kind of been able to like throw a wide net and collected a bunch of the weirder vendors out there and been able to put them all under one.
That's so cool.
Roof basically, and kind of condense that kind of.
The mix this year was really cool.
Yeah.
It was a lot more diverse than the previous year that I went to. Still like a shit ton of antlers, It was like every third booth, like a bunch of antlers and skulls and stuff, which is like cool, like
Well, you get
no shade on those folks, but like man, there's a lot of it. But like this year, there was
like the low hanging fruit of the fucking oddities world, though. Like,
shit. But this year is like there was less of that, just like. Yeah, a good mix of stuff. Good, like paintings and photographs, and then other art stuff, and then some stuff similar to what you guys were doing. Found a few other like bug booths, but nothing quite like y'all were doing. So, wait, no, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, we're definitely higher end as far as the insects go, trying to really use all the antique items and stuff. But I was going to joke about the antlers, too, because, I mean, essentially, it's also provided a market for, like, basically, people from the country, let's say, that are like, wow, I can sell this stuff that I, I mean... There's that type of vendor is very like easily identifiable versus the more artistic vendors.
Yeah, the hunter crowd,
yes.
if you will.
The ones who are just trying to use the whole buffalo.
Yes, essentially. They're like, wait, I can shoot and kill this animal and eat it, but then I can sell its bones.
Yep, exactly.
Sell its bones to some weirdos. Yeah, dude.
That's about how much effort's gone into their booth. Is Jimbo's Bone Shack?
Yes.
There was one of those. Yeah, they just had like underneath the table, just had like boxes of stray bones. It was like the $5 box and like the $3 box, and it was like,
how much you want for this Famer?
Yeah.
A little bit that for sure.
Exactly.
And that's kind of the nice thing about the gamut also is that it's not super specific in who it attracts. You'll get some on both spectrums of the right and left, basically. Of you get the crunchy hippies on one side who like to buy, whatever it is they like to buy, crystals and
new agey
tinctures
stuff
and things of that nature, like
tarot
actual
cards.
witch shit. That's like this is gonna like hex your thing sometimes, and you can get esoteric
it's just
stuff.
anything.
You can just get you can get some dudes walking in with camo who want the giraffe head that is in taxidermy that you probably couldn't really get anywhere else. Like someone sold a giraffe mount in Denver for $5,000, I think, or something.
Wow.
And
all right, we were talking about that on our
big ass
an entire giraffe.
Yeah, and like you get people who come in and can find things on both sides, where it's it's pretty encompassing as far as like
the fellow who was walking around with the monkey head that you pointed out the other day was not the kind of person I expected to buy a monkey head, but then I realized I don't know who I expect to buy a monkey head.
Right.
So
people surprise the shit out of me all the time, actually.
Yeah,
the type of people who buy things. I mean, you just shows you can't judge
the crowd is
anybody.
completely
You know, like,
all over the place. Yeah, it's not.
Right. Yeah, that's so wild.
What would you say the median age is at this thing?
That's tough because you get some old people, but I mean, I guess it's
we get old people
yeah.
because I have that old lady aesthetic.
Yeah.
But we also get tons of. I mean, like, say if I look at my Instagram, the median age is 20s to 30s.
Yeah,
That's kind of what I figured.
Yeah.
Like younger
there's even
millennials.
vendors that are in their 60s,
Oh yeah.
70s who do that, and then you see some people, older people also who are walking around picking up stuff. So
Yeah.
That's cool. Hell yeah. Well, I mean, weird shit takes all kinds.
oh
but,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, and kids like it, because it's something they haven't seen before, and they get a.
Oh, the
see-
kids are just
They're always
I would've gone
fascinated by
so
it.
ape shit.
fascinated.
As a kid. Like,
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
they're always stoked to be there.
I mean, I remember walking into Paxton Gate on Mississippi Avenue for the first time, and I was just like, wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
So-
Paxton Gate, those guys were at the show last time. They bought quite a bit of stuff.
That's right. That was so
I'll bet
funny.
they
I,
did.
I felt like
Yeah.
such a fool because I was like, you guys should go check out Paxton Gate. And then you guys were like, yeah, they bought shit from us. I'm like, of course they did. Like, holy shit. Like, yeah, you don't need anything from them.
Right.
God.
Show them how to do a thing or two.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, just the fact that that store is on that street,
Yeah.
like, shows just how hot this stuff is, you know?
Yeah, and most bigger cities have at least one oddity
Yeah, at least
shop
one
at this point that's
Storefront, that's pretty big.
successful.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, right? Like, there's enough of a market for it. How well do you do with online sales?
Actually, great. We can't, so during the pandemic and everything, we did surprisingly well. I think that was the cool thing about the pandemic, speaking of, just wanting to support artists or small businesses or whatever. People really rallied behind that, and almost every artist I know, did way better online than they thought they would do. We were all freaking out as soon as all the shows were canceled. We're like, well, we're fucked.
Yeah.
And then, surprisingly, it was great. It wasn't as good as the shows,
ideal,
but man,
yeah.
we made it through, and we're super thankful for that.
Yeah, that's killer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you gotta be stoked to be back on the road now, though.
Yeah, totally,
Yes.
totally. But the shows are just the rewarding part for us. We really enjoy interacting with people in person.
Yeah.
So honestly, our Instagram followers and stuff do get kind of frustrated that our Etsy shop is closed so much because we prioritize the expos for sure.
I mean,
Right.
you'd have to, honestly.
Yeah, and so we could do a lot more online sale, and probably will at some point.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
while we're capable of doing the shows, we definitely want to take advantage.
Yeah. Yeah, do you think there's expansion in the future? Bring on an employee to, make more wares? Because, you guys sold, a ton of your shit at the Portland show, right?
Yeah. I would say we definitely sold, several hundred pieces.
Yeah.
For
Man,
sure.
That's intense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a
That's a lot, yeah.
lot of product to move in one day. That's what's so crazy about these shows. Is a lot of expos and things will be multiple days, and the show is only one day, and it's just bam, bam, bam.
It's more like a concert
Shit, I thought it
feel
was
where-
multiple days. You sold that much in
Yeah.
one day?
One day. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
It's a total trip. It's an adrenaline
Yeah.
rush.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, when we walked in, I, tried to say hi to you guys, but you had a line 30 deep just to even walk through your
Yeah.
booth, and then you guys were just super busy. So we walked around for a while, then I came back and flagged you down. But yeah, it was pretty intense. And then even walking in, I saw your stuff that you had hanging, and then when we came back around, I saw an eighth of it gone. It was in that time that we walked around, a bunch got pulled down off the wall and stuff. So yeah, that was really cool to see. So I want to ask you a little bit about how do you get some of this stuff? Because you have so you have hearts, you have octopuses, you have obviously all the insects, crazy wild moths and butterflies and stuff. Like, where do you get it? Because obviously you're not out like catching it.
No, most of the insects are tropical and whatnot. So yeah.
Right, yeah.
And it's funny, I get that question, and that's obviously the most.
And if that's a
common
trade
question.
secret, we don't have to talk about it.
Oh no! I couldn't even give you all the answers in a short amount of time if I tried. But essentially, well, I'll say first of all with the insects. Most of the insects that we use actually come from breeders. So that's a huge part of our, like, the variety that we have in insects is primarily due to just networking and making connections over many years. So breeders all over the country and all over the world. And as we've made these connections, our variety has increased, but essentially, these are people who breed mostly for a hobby. Mm-hmm. And, like, for example, we get all of our moths from one guy who breeds all of our Luna moths and Atlas and just any of the bigger U.S. moths as well. And he breeds them all at home in this giant barn.
Wild.
Watches the whole process each year.
And like, then, just for kicks, just so you can, like, smoke a joint and go stand in there and be like, look at all these moths.
Yeah, I'm super jealous of it, honestly.
Yes! Pretty fucking cool.
You know, but then he is able to sell them. I mean, moths, a lot of people don't realize moths only live a very short life. They don't even eat when they don't even have a mouth to eat as a full.
I didn't fucking know that.
Their adult form is just for fucking.
They're only trying to reproduce.
Man.
And then they usually literally fall to their death, you know. And so people like this, they'll raise a whole giant batch of moths and then go around, collect them, freeze them, and then they come to us and we rehydrate them all and position them the way that we want them and then dry them out and do all the framing. So that's just an example of moths. But yeah, all of our insects come from breeders. And the cool thing about that is that we will always support breeders over people who catch it in the wild because that prevents damage to biodiversity and environments and everything.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, supporting breeders is really the way to go if you want to do anything with insects, because people will go out and catch them in the wild. Anything that you see that comes from Asia, like stuff that they have in rock shops and whatnot, that's all caught in the wild. Which
man. And then just like
damaging to the populations.
Killed, right? Yeah. So, because like these breeders are just like sending you the stuff that died naturally. Mm-hmm. So like that's a lot more humane and ethical. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Not only that, but yeah, just the environmental aspect for sure.
Of course, right? Yeah.
Especially you know if they're making a business out of it, they've got to be trampling tons of stuff. Like anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
But how else are they going to get boners if not from rhino horn?
Oh my god.
Blow a few lines of that shit and you're good to go. You're going to live a moth's life.
You can live a moth's life.
Short and hard.
Never eat, only fuck.
Yeah.
Just like a really shitty Pixar movie. A moth's life.
A moth's life.
A moth's life.
Like a bunch
just like drunk on moonlight, fucking.
A moth and a meth head fucking meet and realize they're both living the same life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't eat either.
I too am confused by bright lights.
I have this raging erection. I don't Get my party.
Oh boy. Okay.
Moth and a meth head coming to you from Pixar next summer.
We're fucking out of ideas. Fucking you guys will buy it, right?
You'll watch it.
You'll watch it.
You'll buy it.
I mean, I watch every Pixar movie.
I know.
Lamp comes running around. You'll watch it.
It's like Breaking Bad meets Bug's Life. It's great.
It's pretty grimy.
This year we got fucking Louis C.K. and Dave Chappelle starring it.
Fuck!
You'll still watch it.
God damn it.
It's sorry, you can't not.
Yes.
Oh
That's
God,
cold.
you'll be there for the short.
Shit.
All right. So yeah, no. So what about some of the other stuff? Like, where do you get these hearts? That's what because those things are wild. And then like, how do you?
That's the thing that they can't tell us.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Podcast over.
Where do those organs come from?
The hearts are actually pretty easy because most every organ that we use, I've done tons of brains and things like that from in the past too, and anything that's bigger, a lot of the things that we make the vampire hearts, like we do, you know, a wooden stake through a heart, so then it's like a vampire trophy heart.
Yeah.
We
Nice.
do daggers through hearts and stuff like that.
They're really cool looking.
Yeah, so I mean, we try to get bigger hearts for those that are closer to the size and shape of a human heart.
Right.
So those are almost all sheep hearts,
Okay.
and they are all essentially livestock waste.
Oh,
So it's
sure.
because
all,
nobody's eating sheep heart.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's all the stuff that unfortunately just goes to waste in our glorious livestock
Yeah.
production in this country.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of that, and then we get a lot of smaller ones too from mostly from people in Oklahoma that we know, that other vendors and stuff that are down there that have farms and do some hunting or trapping to protect their farms. And so occasionally we'll get some things harvested from them, some more interesting animals like fox or bobcat and things like that.
Oh,
but
sure.
essentially everything that we ever get is waste, and it comes from an animal that either died roadkill or accidentally or was unfortunately trapped or hunted or killed in the livestock industry.
Right.
Yeah, like those chicken hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The chicken heart necklace.
But it's all the stuff people don't use. So
freaking cool.
Yeah.
nothing,
The chicken heart
nothing
necklaces
ever
are tight.
killed for its heart. Let me be that.
Oh yeah,
clear about that.
I didn't expect that to be the answer. I was just kind of curious because like, and then I also want to know like, how do you treat them, and then how did you like learn how to do that?
Yeah, so we're all self-taught. Our process is actually pretty unique and requires more technology than a lot of other people. The most common way to preserve organs is in a wet specimen form. So what you'd see, you know,
Head in a jar
formaldehyde.
kind of thing.
Yes. And so there's a lot of that at the expos, wet specimens and stuff. But we decided to just try to create a more unique product by being able to dry these things out and do more with them. And so you can do that through mummification, which is an easy at-home process to do for just about anyone, actually. But a lot of the times mummification really alters the way a specimen looks,
Right.
the shape. It
Kind of racifies it.
Yeah, or you know, if you do a whole
Relatively
specimen,
time-consuming
it
as
ends
well.
up looking emaciated.
Right.
So we got into freeze drying,
Oh, cool.
which is a way of, it's this weird in between where it's not taxidermy, because taxidermy literally by definition is only using the skin of an animal, taking everything out, creating a mold, and then stretching the skin over that mold. So really all you're using of the animal is the skin for taxidermy.
You're making a skin puppet.
Exactly. And, you know, taxidermy, the word taxidermy is thrown around everywhere these days. Even with our insects, people call that insect taxidermy, which is not technically correct at all.
Good
but
luck skinning an insect.
yeah, exactly.
Fool
There's-
there.
There's no skin to begin with, folks. But so that's taxidermy, and then mummification, like I said, tends to deform things. So we're right in the middle doing freeze drying, where it's like mummification in the sense that we're not removing anything from the animal,
Except the water.
but we're also not.
You preserve the shape.
Yeah, we're preserving the shape because of the way it's done.
Oh, yeah. That's cool shit.
But then how does it exist outside of liquid?
Because it's freeze dried.
Oh.
It's
Right.
Everything's fixed first.
I
As
think
if
I don't understand what freeze drying even is.
Okay, so, well, first of all, everything's fixed as if it was going to be a wet specimen with formaldehyde.
Uh-huh.
So it's preserved in that sense.
Sure.
But then instead of putting it into alcohol and keeping it wet, we put it through a freeze dryer, which essentially uses a vacuum you bring everything down to freezing temperature
Uh-huh.
inside of a vacuum chamber.
Whoa.
And then you have heating pads that basically bring the chamber slowly up in heat as the vacuum chamber is running. So as the frozen specimen heats up, when the moisture is in that gas state, it's sucked out before it turns back into water.
Whoa.
So then you're left with something that has
And
no
you-
moisture.
Preserves the cellular structures. that
Whoa,
kind of thing.
okay. Neat.
Yeah, it's a process called sublimation.
Sublimation.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's what dry ice does, yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. Like, yeah, I guess I do understand that a little bit. So y'all own the apparatus to do this?
Yeah,
That's
it's a
cool.
highly altered machine
Yeah.
that has taken us years to
Yeah?
figure out
Tweak
and
and
still
figure
causes
out.
us many
Yeah,
problems
it's
all
still
the
a headache a
time.
lot of times.
Really?
We're definitely not like crazy tech savvy people, so it's been a lot of trial and error.
An ad hoc freeze dryer is not a simple contraption.
No.
Yeah.
So the fact that you guys built your own is pretty fucking dope.
Yeah, it's no easy task, that's for sure.
It's,
But we wanted to, offer kind of a more unique
Yeah.
product. And
Oh,
there
yeah.
is bigger companies even doing, if you look up, there's companies that do freeze-dried pet preservation.
Yeah,
so you can have
wow.
your pet freeze-dried,
Freeze-dried.
and it looks
Whoa.
just like
exactly how it did in real life.
It's creepy.
What?
And you're not, and it's,
But,
again,
like
I said, it's not a taxidermy,
It's not
so
taxidermy.
it's never altered.
Yeah.
It's just,
That's a beef
Yeah,
jerky
like-
dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You get like old ladies with
Whoa.
their cats that look just those.
But it's, like, still stiff?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's like a flat cat, but it never got flat.
yeah. You could turn it into like a table if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Or,
Wait, you were telling me at the show about, like, taxidermy, but they're plushy, right?
yeah, there's soft
Soft
mounts.
mount.
Yeah.
Soft mount.
Yeah.
Those are amazing. Yeah,
Those are cool.
a lot of people are
Really
super
tiny.
into those right
Yeah.
now because they're very cuddly.
It's almost like a stuffed animal.
It's
Yeah.
essentially
Oh,
taxidermy.
no, I see how that works, yeah.
It's taxidermy, but
Yep.
you're not creating a hard mold.
Right.
You're either stuffing it like a Beanie Baby,
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
or they also do simple wire inserts where it's a moldable
Uh-huh.
That makes sense.
that you can position any
Or
way
like
you want.
semi-rigid plastic, that kind of thing. Yeah, that makes a lot of
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are cool.
I want a soft mount fox.
They have
Yeah, you can
Since I'll never get a live
adorable
fox.
Yeah.
soft mount fox. I
Yeah.
don't remember what vendor that was, but like the
I
black
don't remember.
fox.
Yeah, the black.
Yeah.
Shit.
Beautiful.
How much are they?
Beautiful. They're
They're not
pricey.
cheap.
Yeah, leave it.
I'll
Not
bet.
cheap at all.
Oh, it's got to
unfortunately.
take so much work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool. Yeah, I don't know if I have any more questions like that. I don't know. I find like what you guys do so
I have a
fascinating.
Absolutely.
question.
Yeah. Do you guys have more questions?
Do you have like any notable stories of like folks that you've had come by the booth? Like, do you have anybody? You're at an oddities and curiosities expo. I can only imagine there's like some folks that you encounter that are odd or curious. Like, do you have anybody notable that like good or bad, or like any notable experiences with like
Yeah, I mean,
all these people you have to
this
deal
is
with?
where I was gonna open it up. Like, I imagine you guys have a couple like weird stories of being on the road and just
Yeah.
like people you've met, things you've seen. So like, that's what we want to hear.
I mean, definitely. There's easily some of the most odd collectors at these shows. I mean, probably countless, but it's probably become normal to me at this point. And that's
Right.
the weird thing.
Or like, what about any like request? Like, do people ever request commissions or custom stuff?
Constant requests.
Yeah.
Constant. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the times it's hard too because it's just such a weird genre or process or thing that we do that it's hard for a lot of people to understand what is and isn't possible and what is reasonable and what isn't, but
what's an unreasonable request?
I definitely had the lady that comes to mind who I just loved, who I was like, man, I want to be this lady when I grow up. She bought this freeze-dried cat from me. I think it was the first year that we did the Chicago show, and she was like this older woman, and she was just the most, I don't know, crazy looking cat lady for sure, like the most stereotypical, I mean, just amazing. And she was definitely probably in her 70s at least, but had like purple hair. And I only had one cat. See, this is the thing at the Oddities Expos too, is it attracts all different kinds of people. Right. I mean, tons of like quote unquote normal people come there just to see like what the heck this is. And so pet species, dogs and cats, are a very sensitive subject at the expos, of course, because people automatically are like, you killed that cat. And it's like, no. No.
Yeah. You can't prove that.
That's something that we have to deal with all the time. And fortunately, Will and I don't deal too much in pet species, but a lot of people that do wet specimens do.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But we did have this one kitten. It was from a rescue. A lot of people will have kittens at the expos because a lot of kittens unfortunately do pass,
of course,
naturally. And so I had it in this really ornate Victorian glass display, and this old lady who was just so freaking cool was just flipped her shit when she saw it, just completely lost her mind. And this was after people had been like sad about it all day, and she was like, I have got to have this. And then she proceeded to tell me how she has a massive collection of taxidermy cats.
Yeah. Really?
Like massive. Wow. And how she doesn't have anything like that that's, freeze dried. That was a different thing for her. And how she just had to have it. And taxidermy domestic animals, it's kind of unusual actually.
Yeah, it is. I think for most folks that's like a little too macabre to like taxidermy or like the family dog or whatever, right?
Well, in a lot of places it's actually illegal to buy and sell.
Oh, to buy and sell.
Yeah, pet species are domesticated, like cats and dogs, because
it encourages fucking killing those animals, right? Yeah.
Question though, is there like do you guys know of, even like, let me know off air, but like, do you know of a place that you could hook me up with that like, if she dies, that I can have her skull, but get the rest of her cremated?
Oh yeah, that's a common.
It's easy.
That's pretty common. A lot of the vendors who do process bones and have beetle colonies, like I was talking about, they get pet requests constantly. One of our good friends, he not only will do skulls, but he'll actually articulate the full skeleton.
I'm a little bummed that we didn't get Sweet's skull.
Yeah, we probably should have.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
We didn't know where to go at that point.
Yeah, it's tough.
I just would,
answer beetle.
It feels
farm.
like
dude.
Thing to
and honestly, it's
share
becoming more and more common to the point where we have a friend back home in Denver who had to put her cat down, and the vet was in, like, her veterinarian had a contact with a guy out there that will process the skull, like, as part of, usually if you go and take a pet and have it put down, you can get it cremated or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Now there's literally an option to get its skull processed and returned to you.
That's cool.
Whoa.
Yeah. And for some places.
I mean, for people, if you're in that situation, the best thing to do is to put it in the freezer once it dies.
Right.
Yes, just FYI for anyone listening. If you want any part of your animal,
Right.
freeze it. If you want anything,
Right.
like if you want something you found outside,
Right.
freeze it immediately.
Yeah, we
That is
had
always
one
the
of
thing to
Shelby's birds in our freezer for like 2 years. She keeps thinking she's gonna taxidermy shit. Love you, Shelby.
I had an iguana in my parents' freezer for a long time because it died in the winter and we were going to bury it, but the ground was frozen, and then, you know, everyone forgot about it because it was the freezer in the garage. So, you know, a couple of years later, my mom's like, "What's this thing in tinfoil?" Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Son, what the fuck are you doing with your pet lizard?
Are you gonna be a serial killer?
Can we bury it in the yard? No. Well, compost?
We have a friend that always jokes when he comes over that he doesn't want to eat at our house because he doesn't know what he's going to be eating.
See, I'd be concerned about telling you that because I know you can just freeze dry my corpse.
Yeah, dude. Get shipped off to a beetle farm so
Right?
fast.
Exactly. Never
Be
trust,
sold on the circuit, man.
never trust a beetle farmer.
Body will be sold in Seattle before you.
All right, no, here is a question. Yeah, what about human shit? So, like, there's got to be some rules and regulations around that. Do you ever get your hands on any of that stuff?
We easily can. We just don't really specialize in that.
Yeah.
A lot of the vendors who do, yeah. I mean, there's definitely rules and regulations. A lot of them.
Yeah,
you know,
there's got to be.
It's the easiest legally to get your hands on medical specimens. That's where a lot of the stuff at the shows comes from.
I imagine that's, like, basically it, right? Unless some person, like,
unless you're pushing the
wills it
limits,
off.
yeah.
Like, unless they, like, will it off or specify and they're like...
some things that have probably been grave dug before. And
Really?
You gotta be really careful with
real
human
careful with
stuff
shit.
because,
you
yeah,
don't
I
know
mean,
exactly,
as usual, people in other countries especially will, you know, latch on to the demand, the desire for this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's all too easy to purchase something. Like, all I'm saying is don't go purchasing human skulls on eBay or some shit.
Oh no.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
be
you just
careful.
don't go
Jesus.
there. Like, know what you're purchasing. Anything like that should have paperwork.
Yeah.
Something.
Otherwise, be worried about where it was acquired.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's all too easy for especially Asian countries to grave dig and sell that off. And that's actually a
that's
pretty
what I do.
common
Pretty
thing.
common, yeah, it's super common.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Sir, is this your child's skull on the floor?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's mine.
Yep.
Yeah, so,
Wow.
but there's tons of, not to, you know, put so much negativity towards the human stuff, it's
No,
just,
yeah, it's just gotta be-
there's tons of vendors and people who specialize in this and specialize in getting legal, ethical
legal.
things. And
Right.
you'll find a lot of that at the expos, stuff that you can trust that's, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I imagine it's got to be, like, a lot easier on your conscience to get it through fucking legal means than fucking
Yeah.
night stalking your fucking corpses, you know?
There was that, oh man, there was like, it was like a Pawn Stars, but it was an oddities show. It was on, God, probably like 6-7 years ago. And I think they only had like 1 or 2 seasons, but they had a guy who had like one of the biggest skull collections in the US. And he was a very strange fellow. But he had some cool ones, and he had one that still, it was a Viking skull, and it still had a spike through it.
Dang.
Because, like, that's probably how
Dang.
that fellow died. Yeah. Well, it's definitely how that fellow died. He had a spike through his skull. So, yeah.
Maybe not right away, but eventually.
Yeah, totally. He fell to consumption.
To the ripe old age.
Consuming a spike through the skull. Yeah.
This was no Phineas Gage incident.
Yeah, people have some pretty sweet collections, though, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, do you... So, are there, like... Yeah, so you go all over the country. Are there some folks who just go to their local one and then... Or, like, are a lot of the people there, do they hit the circuit with you guys?
I'd say it's like half and
it's
half.
about
We
half,
usually
yeah.
have
Yeah.
like around half local vendors or people who just do ones that are nearby, and then you have like the staple,
travelers,
continues.
Yeah, the folks you basically travel with.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
You guys make a bunch of good friends?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, all these people are good people.
That's one of the coolest things for sure is that it's brought so many, like-minded people together that I didn't even know there was that many people out there like that. Yeah. It's like the Comic Cons and things like that.
Sure.
And we bring like a niche community together and I've never met so many people that I have so much in common with. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that is super cool. Hell yeah.
How much do you guys get asked for like cryptozoological stuff?
Us not as much, but definitely some of the other vendors. Again, more of the taxidermy or bone type vendors.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Fair enough.
I expected to see more of that down there, but then there's like that weird cross section of like, I mean, usually where you buy like jackalope heads is like truck stops and shit.
Yes.
Hey, I mean, go to Crescent City, Oregon. Like, you'll see a lot of that shit.
We saw a lot of that in our trip back to Colorado recently. In Wyoming and
There's actually a restaurant in Crescent City that has just a bunch of regular ass taxidermy all over their dining room, and up until like I want to say the earlier mid 90s, like they had all of their backroom taxidermy out there too, but now you have to go into the back room to see all of the three-headed sheep and like
what? That's awesome.
It's fucking badass.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
I'm actually surprised that there's not more people doing essentially what's called gaff taxidermy, which is
like Fiji
creating
mermaids,
the Fiji mermaid is a great example, but like just creating things out of, it's still taxidermy, but it's not
it's all real parts and pieces, but it's like
made to be something else. Things combined, and there is
Fish boy.
They've got a rabbit with duck
smaller
wings and antlers. It's fucking great.
Right. I mean, even a jackalope could be considered, but I mean, there's definitely people doing it with small stuff like mice and things like that. But there's not very many like bigger taxidermists trying to make like that would be sick, like some cryptozoology or some.
Well, it's just got to be like there's probably good money in it, but then you got to find the person who wants this fox with eagle wings or whatever, like
something like that.
Well, and it's really only available with taxidermy because it's not like you're going to fuse a bunch of freeze-dried parts together necessarily.
Yeah,
maybe that's
much
possible,
more. Well, you'd have to get one of those industrial freeze dryers that's like an actual like room.
Massive.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
And then your friends start getting really worried. They're way less worried about what they're going to eat,
or whether we're going to be like, yes, come on in, and they enter into a freeze dryer.
Oh, it's the room for heavy melt people. You melt away, huh?
Yeah.
Have you ever had the moisture sucked out of you at sub-zero temperatures?
There we go.
Hell yeah.
There is one Denver vendor, though. We actually bought a piece from them at this last show at the beginning of October, and oh my gosh, they're called Zon's Creations. And she makes the most insane, she had like a full life-size standing Baphomet.
What?
That was the most badass thing I've ever seen.
It was fucking metal.
That's sick.
Yeah, we only got a head mount, but it's definitely a goat with seven eyes and
that's a
she was actually casting hands, like human a cast of a human hand and then creating it into the goat's hand. So this is totally hard to explain, but it would be like a head mount of a goat with a hand coming out like offering you something. It was very very eerie and creepy. Like some of the best taxidermy I've ever seen, and she's quite young, and I was so impressed, very impressed. But there's not a lot of vendors out there like that for sure.
Well, and again, it's like, even if you're into it, it's so niche. You got to feel just like, oh man, how many hours am I going to put into this, and then am I going to find the person with the several $1,000s that
And the
this
space.
is worth. You know,
Space.
yeah.
Space is usually a problem for a lot
Space
of
is
people.
also, yeah.
Oh, there's so many rich nerds out there, though. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna find them eventually.
You'll find
know?
them eventually, yeah. Yeah, do you guys, what's your setup now? Do you guys have a house in D-Town?
We have a townhome
Yeah.
in Denver, but it's quite
Good
large.
space. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you've got like a workshop space and then...
Yeah, we recently actually that was kind of the gift that the pandemic gave us because we were working out of a bedroom upstairs. That was our studio for a long time, and now by the time Will's full time with me at this point, you know, we were on top of each other in this little tiny bedroom.
Uh-huh.
So the pandemic actually gave us the time to convert our whole basement into just the
work area.
business,
Workshop,
basically.
yeah.
Workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sick.
And I don't know how we would have ever even done that, trying to keep up with the
Do
shows
that
and stuff.
shows
So
at the same time.
Oh, right, yeah.
one of those
Right.
blessing in disguise sort of situations.
Yeah, you're like, well, I guess we got some free time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, set up some infrastructure, make it easier for yourself in the future.
Yeah, it's probably only created to growth this year, so
Yeah.
Sick.
definitely
yeah.
lucky for
Hell yeah.
that. Yeah,
Good for you.
yeah.
Well, I think, I don't know, did you have anything else you want to...
I mean, unless
Get
unless you guys have some more weird stories, like
Yeah.
think we
Yeah, we've chit-chatted for about an hour about
Absolutely.
it. And, like, yeah, really, I just wanted to, like, hear you guys talk about it a little bit and help promote it, too, because it's
Absolutely.
fucking cool.
No, we want to get more people into your booth for sure. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, so,
guys.
yeah, just shout out all your, like, promo stuff, like your
Yeah.
website and your Insta and all that stuff.
Well, you can easily find us at Atomic Folk Art on Instagram, and then everything else is just Atomic Folk Art on Facebook and Etsy.
Sweet.
But like I said, the Etsy shop is unfortunately rarely open right now, but we do open it as much as we can for people.
Well,
So-
yeah, so keep checking in if you want some sweet stuff.
And do you guys like drop a post on Instagram when the Etsy shop's opening up and stuff?
Yes, the
Okay, cool.
Instagram is definitely our main method of communication, and we have recently, since it's been more in demand for the Etsy shop, we've been doing like, you know, how people do releases and countdowns.
Perfect. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah,
so that
yeah.
people can
Do
be
some
ready
exclusive
and
drops.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how to do it if you're going to
people have
only be
liked
open once in a
that,
while. Yeah.
you know, the warning and to be ready, and so that's worked out well.
Oh, that's actually, I mean, like, I know you're only doing that because it's the only thing that works for you, but, like, it's kind of some clutch marketing at the same time.
Yeah, you got to build that hype. Get the
Yeah.
exclusives.
Yep.
It's really cool.
Hell yeah. Well, that's sick. Thanks for talking to us about this stuff. Like, yeah, shit is so cool. So, yeah,
Yeah.
all
Thanks,
you out
guys.
there, go fucking check it out online.
Fuck yeah.
And, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy your time in the Northwest.
Yeah.
We already have.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Cheers, y'all.